How's it going, everyone? My name is DrapPep. Welcome back to another installment of Drap Chat. Something that I have a hard time with sometimes is watching a movie and not being overly critical about the movie. And I don't mean it's like, oh, this movie's bad, it was horrible because the storyline sucked. No, what I mean is like I've gone to college, right? And I've learned how to edit films professionally. And because of that, I've been trained how to find mistakes. And sometimes I find those mistakes in the edits of some movies. And sometimes I can sort of enjoy the film without really paying too close attention to it. And there's other times I'll see it and I'm like, oh, Christ, they left that in? that probably could have been edited out. Damn. I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. Most people who take film classes, like my professor told us, this might be a problem once you take the class, that you start noticing the mistakes in movies. So it's not like I didn't know this was going to happen. But there's at least three things I wish movies would stop doing. Okay? Three things. Because it is annoying that almost every movie has this. First of all, I hate that the C sharp sound that they have when like explosions go off, right? And like, oh, cool! Now I get to go completely deaf. That's so awesome. I hate that. It'd make more sense if it was like maybe for a second, maybe a half a second. But like we don't have to hear that. The character that's going through it, they're already, expressing they can't hear anything by body, right? Their physical actions are telling us, oh, their hearing is lost. And if you want to add that in there, fine. But like just leave it in there for like a half a second, maybe a second. Not the full 12 seconds. Are you serious? Why are you letting it linger like that? Why are you keeping it up there for so long? It's I hate that. I really do. Next time you watch a war movie or any kind of action movie, count how long that noise is lasting. It's more than a second. And a lot of times people don't think about it, but to me, I notice that. I notice how long that's lingering. You don't need it on there so long. Same thing with when an actor, or a character I should say, when a character is in a movie and it's like the room is dark, right? They're in a dark room and then they open the door and there's like a flash of light. And now you gotta wince because you just got flashbanged by the movie. Oh, I hate those things. I hate them trying to make it realistic. If you're going to make it realistic, then make it realistic. And what I mean by that is don't have characters jump from the third floor to the ground floor with no injuries. Don't make characters run through glass like as if it's paper mache. Okay, here's the thing. Certain things like in Star Wars where we could hear the spaceships in space, it's satisfying, but that's not realistic. Or when a person smashes through a wall or breaks down a door with zero training, not realistic. If you really want to have fun with this, count how many bullets that they shoot off in a gun. I bet it's not the proper amount. I bet they added a few too many. Like what? Did they have infinite ammunition in that gun? We never see them reload either. Now, of course, there's movies like John Wick where they do show the reload, right? Taking out the cartridge and putting a new one in, or we see John Wick pulling a trigger and like it would click a few times. That's super realistic. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, you're not counting how many shots you have, and then you have to reload. But there's movies where infinite ammunition is just a thing in that film. they Who needs reloading when you can just shoot as many times as you want? So that's my point. If you're gonna go this whole realistic thing of like, well, they would hear a ringing sound and then their eyes would be blurred out by the flash of the light. You don't need that. You don't. I've seen plenty of movies where they had that sound for maybe a couple of seconds, like one or two, but then they would muffle out the rest of the sounds to make it kind of like, well, muffled. And then they would have the scene blurred, so that way you have motion blur going, and that works just as good. Or here's an idea: instead of having a loud, high pitched sound, start off loud for like a second, and then down pitch it, or at least turn it down as it progresses. That way, you still have it in the background, but it's not in your face with it. It is my suggestion on how to fix that problem. It's an easy suggestion. It's an easy fix. Or here's one: when they're in a room and they're opening a door and there's a flash of light, instead of blinding the audience, show the characters' faces being blinded instead. Because that way you're not having an entire screen of bright light in front of you in the movie theater. I promise that's not going to hurt as much. That's not going to be as bad. Of course, I'm nitpicking, right? Obviously. Of course, I'm, picking out the things that only really affect me. Um, Another thing I don't like in films is when they use the stock sound. If you don't know what that is, it's like a sound that gets passed around a lot in other movies. Like you'll hear it everywhere. For example, a truck goes by, and by the way, there's like a word for this. There's a name for it. I just don't remember it right now. But like a truck goes by, and what's the one thing you hear in your head? Meh, beer, right? Like that. Everyone hears that. And every time there's a truck, you always hear it. Or what is it? What do they call it? The Wayland scream or something like that? I don't remember the proper name for it, but it's when a character, or I should say an NPC, falls off of a bridge or off a cliff, and they have that particular scream, that one particular scream. Um, I'm trying to think of like how to like recreate it with my own vocal cords. It's like it's like a like never mind. Don't. That was awful. That was so terrible. Don't. No, no, no. But you know what I mean, right? The it is such a very specific scream, and like you hear it a lot in Star Wars. By the way, watch the original trilogy, and every time a stormtrooper falls, you will hear it. You will hear that scream. But I hate when they use those sounds. Like they couldn't create a new one. They couldn't go out there and just record their own original sound. They had to use stock sound. Really? Here's one. They are in a desert, right? They're in the middle of Nevada or out in, the canyons, and you hear that, I think it's like a hawk. You hear a hawk screech. Or they show a bald eagle, and like they use the same screech for the bald eagle. And that's not what bald eagles sound like. That's a hawk. That's not an eagle. But they always do that, right? It like it's their version of setting the scene of using that stock sound. And every time I watch a movie, I can hear it. I can hear all of those different sounds. Like I don't know them by name, but I know them by sound. I really do. And that sucks. I also don't like the first person view. Now I have seen the movie Hardcore Henry, I think it's called, and that was interesting for like the first 10 minutes. And then the rest of it just gave me like motion sickness for the rest of the film. It did. It was so jarring. I could probably sit through a little bit of it at a time. The movie Doom did the same thing. Not Dune, by the way, but Doom with two O's. Um, Towards the end of the movie, they did a first person view of what was going on. And I think they did that because it was supposed to be like reminiscent of the video games. But like, I really don't like first person view. Or I should say first person POV. Um, it it's jarring, a little too jarring. I get they're trying to like show you a like specific view of what they're seeing, but there are exceptions to this, right? Like in war movies when they show you down the scope of like you see the crosshairs of like where they're aiming. That's a little different. That's a little different. I can live with that. I can. But it's worse if you're seeing the full first person perspective. You see it a lot also in like uh police movies where they're showing the body cam of the character, and you can't make out anything of what's going on. And it's so jarring, you cannot tell what's happening. Now, there's ways to fix that, of course, right? Like you can take out the shaking with like a stabilizer, or you could like use even I don't know, a gibble. But like the whole process of putting a first person perspective in the movie sucks. I hate it. Of course, there's exceptions, like I said earlier. Like when you're looking down a scope for a sniper rifle in a war movie, that's different. But I hate that first person perspective in films. I hate that. I hate using sock sounds in movies, and I hate when they use high pitched frequencies and the bright lights to simulate, realism when you don't really need to. But that was just my complaints. I just wanted to get those out there. Um, it's something I don't like about movies. I'll still enjoy movies regardless. It's just those are the particular things in films that I just really don't like. But that's going to be it for this episode. I want to thank everyone for tuning in.